Why can't insulin just do what it was designed to do? Lower blood sugars. Maybe it can. Tonight, I'm going to talk about natural ways to make your insulin work better. Basically, fighting insulin resistance. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And on my channel, I help to educate you. I help to encourage you. I help to empower you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to that next level, living the life you've always wanted. It is Diabetes Awareness Month, and if you are catching us now for the first time, I have been doing a show on diabetes starting at the beginning of the month, and this is show number 15 or something like that. So our plan is that I'm going to be doing a show just walking through the steps, walking through different topics in diabetes. And that's what I'm doing, right? So this is just the next series. We've been talking about insulin resistance, and tonight I'm going to continue talking about that as we get into our discussion, right? So Diabetes Awareness Month. If you've not already done so, go back and watch the videos. There is a playlist that I put on the channel, and it's called Diabetes 101. That's the name of it right now. Basically, simply how diabetes works and some various things on how we can take care of ourselves. Remember, the ultimate goal is how do we live a long, happy, fulfilling, healthy life, right? That's the ultimate goal. And so getting education about diabetes is the first step in that process. Yesterday, on the 14th, was World Diabetes Day. And so, we talked about the fact that there are almost 500 million people on the planet with diabetes, and we call for our policyholders, our policy leaders, our health leaders to make education more available to those who have diabetes, and to really make more education and more processes, more resources available to those patients who suffer with diabetes. So as we get into the month, we're talking about all kinds of different things. But in this last 2-3 shows that we've done, we've been talking about insulin resistance. So why don't we hop over there and let's begin the discussion. So we're talking about insulin sensitizers. And to have that discussion, let's do a little bit of review. As you know, we eat something, right? Yeah, delicious looking one. We'll talk, there's another conversation, another show about what's on the screen. But anyway, so that has proteins, has carbs, and it has fats, right? And those are the 3 components that we'll see here in a minute that make up food. So we eat food gets digested, and its goal is to make energy, right? So that's the goal of food. We did a show where we talked about other things that we use food for, but go back and watch that one when you are done with this one, and follow through that with that series. So food comes in 3 different flavors: proteins, fats, and carbs. Those get digested and they get broken down to amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerol, and to glucose. And if everything works the way it's supposed to, insulin comes along when it sees that sugar, and it opens the doors, the cells, to let the food that we just ate get in, and then it produces energy, and any excess that we have gets stored, right? So normal process, right? That's what happens. The door opens and closes based on the insulin that we have, okay? That's what's supposed to happen. When things go awry, we get insulin, but for some reason, the insulin doesn't do its job like it was supposed to. And so we begin storing excess sugar, right? Remember, that goes to the liver. And when that happens, we start to get buildup of sugar outside of the cell, right? You see those little dots that's there. That's glucose. And that glucose, when it builds up, starts causing problems. And we talked about the fact that it starts getting deposited in lots of different areas in the body. When it goes to the liver, triglycerides and free fatty acids, we get fatty liver. When it goes to muscles, we get muscle aches and muscle pains. It goes to the pancreas and it poisons the pancreatic cells that are supposed to be producing insulin to lower blood sugars. And when it goes to fat cells, then we put on weight. But there are a couple other things that we have there as well, right? So fatty liver, we talked about, we put on weight. So obesity, PCOS, right? So elevated insulin can then dysregulate the menstrual cycles. And so we develop PCOS, we develop heart disease, and then ultimately diabetes. So the question then is, why does the insulin not work? And we went through several reasons for why that doesn't work. And go back and watch that one. I think that was the last show that we just did. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about some things that we can do to make our insulin work better. How do we sensitize the body, right? How do we make the insulin that we already have on board work better? Right? That's ultimately one of the goals. We'll talk about non-natural, I shouldn't say unnatural, or medication sensitizers. But today on this show, we're going to talk about some natural sensitizers. So let's pop those up. And no surprise, right? At the top of the list is what? Sleep. I was actually talking to somebody today about getting rest and the benefits of rest. Our body rejuvenates. Our body rebuilds while we sleep. Good, restful, quality sleep. Okay, notice what I said. Not just popping down and getting a couple of hours, right? There's a recommendation that we get at least 7 hours of sleep, because during that process, the body rejuvenates, it rebuilds itself. And studies have shown that when we don't sleep, our insulin sensitivity goes down. In other words, we become more insulin resistant. And part of the reason may be that during that process, if we're not sleeping well, cortisol levels go up. And that gives us the second point that you see there, reduced stress and anxiety. Because remember, when we are stressed, our cortisol level goes up, our stress hormones go up. And the goal of stress hormones is what? To go find energy, right? So you get stressed, the cortisol levels go up, and the body goes out and it starts to break down those stores that we have to try to get energy for whatever stress it is. And so we have this kind of tonic, if you will, level of stress that causes insulin resistance. So decreasing the stress, decreasing the anxiety can help the body use the insulin that it has more effectively, and the body doesn't have to produce as much insulin, right? So once again, we're decreasing the amount of insulin that we have on board, and we're helping the body to use the insulin it has more effectively. All right, cut down on carbs and refined sugars, right? This one should make sense to you. I use car analogies a lot, so I'm going to use one here, right? So if you have a car, you go and you put gas in it. The gas is the energy, just like the food that we eat, carbs, right? Those are energy that the body's supposed to use. Well, if you keep pouring gas, if you take that nozzle, you put it in the tank and you just let it run, right? So basically you hold on to it. After a while, what begins happening, right? The tank gets full and the gas flows over. So how do we prevent that? Well, we don't put too much gas in the car, right? We let the car work the way it's supposed to with the amount of gas it has. And so just like in the body, right? If we keep putting stuff in, right, the body has to make more and more insulin to combat what we're putting in. So one way is to cut back on the carbs. So don't put as much in, so the body doesn't have to produce the amount of insulin, or that much insulin, if you will, to try to combat that, right? So we're lowering the blood sugars by not putting in as much. And the refined sugars, right, those are very dense things. And we've done a show. We'll come back and we'll talk more about food as it relates to diabetes. And refined sugars, that's a big one, right? That's a big one. Add more fruits and vegetables to your diet. Now, this one sounds and seems a little counterintuitive, because people say, well, hey, wait a minute. Fruits and vegetables, they're carbs. And when we eat them, then we're putting more carbs in the body. And that is true. That is true. But the other things that we're putting in the body when we eat fruits and vegetables, we're putting what? fluid, right? Because we're eating, there's fluid in there. There's fiber in there, right? And those two things offset some of the problems that we have. Right. And we've done a very poor job of talking to people about fruits and vegetables and their role in the management of diabetes and in the management of insulin resistance. They are actually beneficial. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it when we get to that last point. All right. And then turmeric, bitter melon, and cinnamon. Let's talk about turmeric first. Curcumin is the active form, and turmeric is an antioxidant. Well, not an antioxidant. It is an anti-inflammatory. It's an anti-inflammatory. And we think that all the fatty acids that are floating around your blood, right, that come from the fact that we can't use the sugar, the glucose, we think that those are inflammatory processes. We think that they're floating around and they're causing damage by causing inflammation. And whenever there's inflammation, insulin resistance goes up. So decreasing inflammation is one way of helping the body become more sensitized. And then bitter melon and cinnamon, those are natural sensitizers, right? So they make, and this is an analogy, right? I don't know that this is actually the quantitative amount, right? But it makes 1 unit of insulin look like 10 units of insulin. Basically helps the insulin work better, faster, stronger. Kind of like the $6 million man, right? We can rebuild it. We can make him better, stronger, faster. Sorry, that just tells my age. All right. And then down at the bottom there, you see avoid trans fats. Now, one of our viewers, right, sent a message talking about animal fat. And that's what this point is talking about. So animal fat has been a culprit in insulin resistance. You remember I talked about when I was talking about the key and the lock, and I said maybe somebody comes along and they put something in the lock so that you can't get the key in. Basically, they block it so the key can't get in. We think that that's what happens when we're eating trans fats. We think that those fats basically are clogging up the system. So it doesn't allow the insulin to attach to where it's supposed to, or it causes some problem for the lock, some problem for the key, if you will. And so the door doesn't open, and so sugar can't get in, or glucose can't get in. So cutting back on trans fats, right, decreases the clogging, and so now the insulin that's there works better. Now, in this show, we're not going to talk about what that means, avoiding trans fats, but we're going to come back, and I keep saying we're going to come back and do shows, right? Because I want to walk through this simply, right? We're gonna do a show about different components in little small segments so that you get to understand, right? Sometimes when we put them all together, it's a little overwhelming, but little small segments so that you can walk along with us. So those are natural ways, right? And anybody can do this. You can, all the things that are on this list, you can do, right? Getting better sleep, reducing stress and anxiety, exercise and losing weight, cut down on carbs and refined sugars, add more fruits and vegetables, turmeric, bitter melon, cinnamon, right? Those are things you can get everywhere. And then avoid trans fats, natural insulin sensitizers. Right? We'll come back with a word to finish us up, but let's go ahead to our amazing question wheel. All right. So amazing question wheel. So you see it on the screen there. If you're new and don't know how we do this, so there are questions on the wheel. I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever question it lands on, I'm going to answer. That's right. Give you a nice, concise, usable, practical explanation for the question or the answer for the question. And then, right, the caveat is that I've got to do it in 45 seconds. Yes, 45 seconds, got to do it. And the reason for that is I'm going to use that. I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to make a little video, put it on our social media platforms. And let me pop over so you can see Dwayne Wood MD. That's our social media handle, our tag, whatever. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all of those different places. Dwayne Wood MD. Dwayne Wood MD. So what I want you to do is I want you to find the video. And then I want you to put hashtag I was there. Hashtag I was there. Let me go ahead and I'm going to type that in there so you know what it looks like. So hashtag I'm going to put this on a little hashtag I was there. I'm going to put this on a little key on my device here. So I hit it and then it'll pop up. But right now I don't have that. So here it is. So hashtag I was there. Let's pop that down there. All right. Hashtag I was there. All right, so find it and put that in there. All right. And then we'll tell you a little bit more about what I want you to do. So, all right, so here's our question wheel. And let's go ahead and let me start spinning it. I can get my mouse over there. There we go. There we go. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, I don't know. All right, let's see. What do we have? Should I always carry glucose tablets? Should I always carry glucose tablets? This is a very good question, actually. I like that one. So I take a couple minutes, or 6 seconds, that is, get my thoughts together, and then we'll put 45 seconds up on the screen, and then we'll go through it and we'll answer this question. Should I always carry glucose tablets? Here we go. So should I always carry glucose tablets? Hypoglycemia is a common occurrence for patients who are diabetic, particularly those who may be on what do we call secretagogues, that is medication that causes their pancreas to produce insulin, or people who are actually on insulin. So having some way of treating their blood sugar is a sensible thing to do. Glucose tablets is one way to do that, but there are so many other ways that you can. But I would recommend having something. It doesn't have to necessarily be glucose tablets, but that is a reasonable thing to do. All right. And I think did I get there? I think I ended right, like almost right there. You guys saw that. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Yeah. So for that, right, what I want you to do when I clip that out, I'm going to create the video. We're going to put it out and go ahead and do hashtag I was there. If you are watching this in the replay, I want you to write in the comments hashtag replay, right? Hashtag replay, but find that video. If you're here right now, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, give us a like for this video if you're getting some benefit from it, right? If you are getting benefit from all of our videos that we're doing, we would love for you to subscribe, for you to engage with us. You do that by creating an account, going in, subscribing to the channel, and then hitting the notification bell so that you get alerted whenever we do new videos, we put new content up on the screen, up on the channel, okay? If you know someone who is a diabetic, someone who suffers from prediabetes, insulin resistance, this is a great series. This is a wonderful series to send them. Just send them the playlist, and it's called Diabetes 101, and let them know, hey, we're doing, and by the end, we're going to have, 30 videos on different things in diabetes. If you are out there, if you're a physician, if you're a healthcare provider, and you have patients who are pre-diabetic, people who suffer from insulin resistance, people who have diabetes, people who have metabolic syndrome, PCOS, all those things, this is a great resource, right? And I encourage you to have your patients look at this, have them kind of go through each of this. And if there are specific topics that you want them, point them to those topics, right? You may not say, hey, I don't, not necessarily all the entire series right now, although I would love you to do that. hey, I want you to go to this channel and I want you to watch this particular, and I'm trying to make them short, right? Of course, I'm talking about all this stuff, right? So go ahead and do that and have them watch through it. All right. So insulin resistance, insulin sensitizers, get more sleep, reduce your stress and anxiety, exercise and lose weight, cut down on carbs and refined sugars, add more fruits and vegetables to your diet. Turmeric, bitter melon, and cinnamon are good ways to sensitize the body, and then avoid trans fats. Avoid trans fats. Insulin resistance is a growing problem. Insulin resistance is a growing problem, but there are steps we can take to reverse it, to prevent the progression to diabetes. The first is to get educated, and you're here, so you are doing that. These sensitizers have been shown to improve insulin resistance, and using them, right, can be beneficial. As always, be sure to check with your healthcare provider for your specific case. Come back as I continue my trek into diabetes for this Diabetes Awareness Month. We'll talk about what you can do to treat diabetes. We'll talk about medications. We're going to do a show where we actually walk through a lot of the medications that are, a couple of shows actually, medications that are out there. There are some now that are used for weight and for blood sugar. So lots of different things that are happening in the diabetes space. So I encourage you to come on back. I'm glad that you are here right now and that you are engaging with us. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, let us know that you're out there. Now, I am going to, as soon as I finish this, I'm actually going to hop over to Facebook, right? Because on Facebook, we have an amazing thing that happened. We have gone above 1,000 followers, 1,000 followers on Facebook. I think I thought it was 1,200, but it's actually 1,100 plus, right? So over 1,000 followers on Facebook. So we're just going to hop over there after this and do a quick live and just thank everybody over there for their support. I would love for your support, for you to give your support to me on the YouTube channel as well. If you are on Facebook or any of the other platforms, LinkedIn, TikTok, come over here. Go ahead and create an account, subscribe, and engage with us. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I help to educate, I help to empower, and I help to encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, go to that next level, and live the life you've always wanted. Good night. We'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.